Well. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TDC podcast. Mike and Garrett is here. Hello, Garrett.
Hey,
How
howdy.
are How are you, pal?
I'm doing all right. It's my birthday, man.
I was just going to say, do I have my research correct? Is it your birthday?
You have your research
See,
correct?
you're at that age when you still brag about a birthday. Like,
It's not even
hey,
that I
it's my.
brag about it. It's just
not well. Acknowledge it. Most guys, you get to my age, you're just like, yeah, fuck that,
yeah.
man.
I went to work today. I fucking had a normal day.
Yeah. Always have a normal day. I
But
don't know people that take it off. You doing anything special?
no,
No.
not at all.
Sounds
That's
fun.
see,
Good.
exactly. That's where I'm at with my birthday. It's just fun because it's the 27 club. Ooh.
Oh yeah, this is the year you should die, right? If you want to
Yep.
be like go down historically as
I'm
cool.
trying to be a musician, so it's
Yeah.
who knows?
So who was that? Hendrix and Joplin,
Cobain, Juice
all in
World.
the 20.
Think he counts?
Who?
Juice World, if you think he counts.
No. I do not. You can throw that in there if you'd like, but
All right.
no, I think John Bonham.
Maybe, yeah.
Bonham was part of the 27 club. It's a very exclusive club, but highly there's a lot of good people in it. There's something about drugs and alcohol that if you make it past like those 27 years old,
Yeah.
and you'll go for a long time. Then it's very rare, like you either collapse early or you're like, oh, I'm 60 and I'm still fucked up. I know plenty of those people too.
Yeah.
So good luck. Fingers crossed this year, Garrett. I'd hate to lose you.
No,
I think you're a good kid. So
too. Jim
what's
Morrison.
that? Jim Morrison. Yeah. The Doors. Yep. By the way, Chris Newberg will join us in a minute. Chris is going off kind of on the Tony Hinchcliffe story, Madison Square Garden. We talked about it yesterday. It had happened over the weekend. Okay, hold on. Chris is texting me. Not sure I have the correct link. Well, I just texted you. I just emailed you one. So he's trying to come in. Anyways, so I wasn't going to bother because he had texted me earlier and like, hey, I'm interested in talking about this. If you want to talk, whatever. And I was thinking, no, probably not. But then Biden made his crack and now it's got all this fallout. So I was like, well, I guess we can get into that a little bit with him. And, but before he gets here, I did want to talk about little housekeeping items. AA Ron was nice enough to send me an email. And when he's my EF Hutton. When he speaks, you listen. Yeah. Yesterday's episode, okay, bullet point number 1. Yesterday's episode on YouTube is missing the Caddyshack and Jon Stewart videos because of copyright claims.
Yep.
Totally expected that.
Yep.
I wrote him back and I said, hey, I think the point was worth it anyways. I knew that was going to happen. He said, AA Ron, maybe you do too, believe clipping out those 2 segments so we can keep the rest of the video online was better than being totally silenced. The audio-only version of the episode is totally uncircumcised.
Sweet.
So he went in and clipped those out, which is fine if you were watching
YouTube
live.
Has like an auto feature too where they'll go in and just like, hey, here's your copyrighted part, and they'll clip it out for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like he did it or
awesome. Even better.
Used them to do it, whatever. Also, we've seen an increase in viewership on YouTube. YouTube viewers and listeners are the reason the show can continue. So thank you. That's from AA Ron. I kind of agree with him on that. Without you, there's no us. I think that's how the saying goes.
True, though. If we're not doing that, then who are we speaking to right now?
If people watch a short and find it funny, like it, maybe comments. This is the whole key, guys. I don't talk about this much. It fucking drives me nuts when every idiot on YouTube does this.
I was about to say, you want me to smash that like button, hit subscribe.
It's so cringe. It really is. But the point is that that's the only way it gets into the algorithm. That's the whole fucking game. So while it's kind of the, like inner circle kind of thing, if you want truly to grow, it is what it is. It's so foreign to my world of radio where none of that shit mattered. But in this context, it really does matter. So as cringe as it is for me, I understand it.
What I'm here for.
So if you can do a subscribe, leave a comment is the biggest one, I think. Comments are huge at getting a video into the algorithm. So if a user makes a comment to start an argument that 100 people jump in on, we would love that. That's, again, Ron, not me, but he's not wrong. Also, he wanted to point out we're going to start slicing up segments of the show for YouTube. So someone could listen to a 10-minute conversation if they don't have the time or don't know who we are enough to commit over an hour to a video. We're not trying to flood your feed. We're just trying to find all the monsters out there that we can. So I know what he's doing there. I think it's critical for these things because I know when I look at a video on YouTube and you go, oh, I don't have an hour and a half. It might be on the Lions or something else. But so I totally get that. Again, foreign to those of us with a radio background, but it is what it is. So if you see those out there, like, per Ron's instructions, no one's trying to flood your shit. It's just a matter of finding those. And, feel free to tell us. Send an email, walters@detroitcast.com, or hit up Garrett with parts that you found interesting, think would make for a good segment. I never listen back to the show ever. I can't stand the look of myself or the sound of myself, so I don't bother. But I know that stuff is important. So anyways, wanted to get some housekeeping out of the way. And then welcome in our dear friend, Chris Newberg. Hey, buddy.
Hi, friends.
Looks like you've trimmed your beard down a little bit.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I took a weed whack into it.
Yeah. When did you do that? Recently?
2 weeks ago, I was in a music video, and it was the request of the artist.
Which band? Anyone would know, or?
She's signed. She's been on Letterman and has a bunch of records. But I mean, her name is Jessica
Taylor
Lee.
Swift?
Yeah.
I've seen her on both those things you talked about. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
No, it's Jessica Lee Mayfield. She's really good.
We will get into Tony Hinchcliffe and the fallout. I thought the story was going to kind of nosedive, but it's ramped up steam, especially after our dear president made his comments. So we'll get into some of the fallout from that. I have some thoughts on that. I know you have some thoughts on it, but having us here, this is so special. What's going on with the Lions, man?
Yes.
And I know you're watching every minute, so I figured we'd start some kind of disturbing news out of Detroit today with Jameson Williams.
What, did they cut him?
No. Well, not that I haven't heard anything like that. In fact, I thought I saw a clip that Dan Campbell said something like, hey, we get, he's worth, hanging on to, blah, blah, blah. I'm always a little worried. So if you don't know, he's in the midst of a 2-game suspension currently. And I know a lot of you listening already know this, for some sort of violation to the drug policy. And that can be all sorts of things. It means one guy could be shooting up. And I don't know. And if you know, Chris, feel free to jump in. I don't know if they've come out and said what exactly that was, because that can be anything from an over-the-counter sports drink that had something in it to a doctor prescribes something to you that you weren't aware. You see, and usually you laugh it off, but someone eats a poppy seed muffin and then fails a drug test for heroin at their doctors. So this stuff happens. I think there's a big difference in something like that versus performance enhancing drugs like you're caught with steroids and stuff like that. I don't know what the full story is there, but to make matters worse, the Detroit News is reporting that 2 weeks before he was suspended for the performance enhancing drug policy, he was nearly arrested by Detroit police over a gun found in a vehicle. He came into contact with a police officer around midnight, this is back on October 8th, when police pulled over a vehicle being driven by his brother near the corner of Connor and Jefferson. Vehicle was stopped, police say, for speeding. Never a good idea to speed when you got a fucking gun or two in the car. It's just...
I'll go one step further. Never a good idea to have a gun or two in the car.
Hold on. I know Garrett's going to take issue with that, but one of them, his brother apparently had a concealed carry permit.
Okay.
And the other one was registered to Williams to Jameson, but he didn't have a concealed carry permit.
So it matters where it is in the car.
That one was under his seat. The other one was just in the back seat laying on the ground.
That one's legal.
That one's legal, yeah. And I know these laws vary state to state. Like here in Arizona or Texas, you just have your gun up on the dash. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like it's a totally different world. You pull that shit in California, New York, real problem. I don't know exactly what Michigan's laws are. I'm not a big gun guy.
I do.
But yeah, speeding when having a gun in the car is never the smart. It's like drinking and driving, you know. There's guys who are pros that know how to do it. And I don't recommend it, but you know, trying your best to do the speed limit or less is probably the best route to take. More often than not, we see some guys going 30 over the speed limit, and you're like, dude, what are we fucking doing here?
Yeah.
So, did you hear about this story, Chris? Have you heard about this with Jameson?
I've not. I heard I didn't hear about the arrest, but I mean, I saw his statement. His statement was
I
written
think
by.
I got Dan Campbell's statement too from a press conference.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see Dan's, but I saw Jameson. I saw his, and it was definitely written by like a crisis publicist.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no question. And in addition to that, when has there ever been a time when someone has been suspended for substance that it's not proven to be true? It's very rare. It's very rare. He's like, I know everything that I put in my body.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, come on. Obviously, it's a big deal. And Detroit is doing, I mean, like from a PR standpoint, the Lions are doing everything to just keep it real chill.
Yeah.
I think they're going to trade him.
Well, that would suck because, well, there's a couple things. Jameson Williams is really good, and you're finally seeing what you saw if you followed him at all at Alabama. And 4.2 speed is 4.2 speed. It's legit. It's virtually uncoverable. And with a weapon like that, that's not easily replaceable. It's taken him almost 2 years to get back from that busted up knee.
Right.
Which is common too, where these guys get back to full strength. He's young. You know, it bums me out when these guys, you know, he was suspended for 6 games last year, I think it was, for gambling. And there's just something about, you know, when you're talking about this level for these guys, you just have to be better. You just do. You have to be like putting $1,000 bet on some other sport. Hey, well, I wasn't betting on any of it. You just can't fuck around. Like, you're a pro. The city is counting on you. The team is invested in you. You just can't be doing the dumb shit you have been able to get away with for a lot of these guys, probably their whole lives, because of extreme talents. And you hope that these guys get to that level, they graduate to the pro level, and they fully understand, like, no, I'm not your average guy walking around the streets who can say whatever he wants or behave in any way he wants. Like, there's too much on the line. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar organizations, and you need guys that are fully capable of not being absolute dipshits.
Well, you basically, you solved it. You solved it at like 10, 15 sentences ago. He's on some sort of narcotic for pain pills for his knee. And that's what he probably had extras left over. And he probably took some sort of like heroin-esque Oxycontin type pain pill. And I'm sure it was in his system, $1 billion.
But I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's going to show up unless you're buying illegal shit on the streets. Like anything doctor prescribed, those guys used to have mason jars full of Vicodin and stuff in the locker room. You just grab a handful on your way out. Like,
I think Oxy's more of a narcotic.
For sure. But Oxy's, I mean, that's what they gave me with my back. You know, I was prescribed that.
Garrett, can you look and see if Oxy is is against the NFL's substance?
There's no way. Those guys get hurt too often. My guess is, Oxy versus Vicodin, the only difference is the acetaminophen in them. So one is just pure, and it doesn't have the aspirin, which is going to bang on your liver if you're taking it for a long periods of time, which is why it's so dangerous if you're drinking a lot with that stuff.
Not oxycodone, but we have oxybolone, oxybrolone. It's a lot of different oxys, but not oxycodone, like oxycodone.
Yeah, so oxycodone, I would have been shocked if that was like a banned substance in the league.
I bet it's something like that, though. I mean, he doesn't seem like this. He doesn't. I mean, if he's betting on sports and he's driving around with 2 loaded weapons, with one is not registered, they're in the front seat. He doesn't strike me as the smartest grape in the bunch.
Yeah. No, I know. And what the question is, what do you do when you have what appears to be, to me, I said it 3 weeks ago, this is the best team in the NFL.
Mhm.
I know the PFF's, grading systems say the Chiefs are. That's bullshit. The Chiefs are not as good as the Lions.
They have the Taylor Swift bump.
The what?
The Taylor Swift bump. Gives them a couple more points on the grading scale.
At that point, they were going with a team that was 5-0. Hey, they're 6-0. They should have lost numerous games in the beginning. The Lions are absolutely just curb stomping people.
Yeah, they're entertaining as hell.
They're so fun, so entertaining. It looks like an endless well that Ben Johnson is putting together. That wide receiver half coming behind the line of scrimmage and then going back out screen that they ran last week.
Yeah.
I've never seen that in watching this league from the time I was a toddler. Like it seems so, and it was so wide open. And the Montgomery, halfback toss, like all of that. You should never. This league is built. This is not Major League Baseball. It's not basketball. This league is built for parity. That's the way it's designed. They do not want, even when your team blows, and we saw 0-16 Lions, those Lions games were very competitive. They just lost them all, but they were competitive in all of them. You should never beat a team 52-14. And going a step further, they essentially took a knee in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
that could have been. They could have easily put up 70 points in that game.
Absolutely, it was wonderful. It was so fun to watch. I wanted to get to the point where, like 2 or 3 years from now, after we've won 2 Super Bowls back to back, yes, I predicted it. After we've done that, where we're like, oh, I wish there would be a team who's good enough to give the Lions competition. Like that would be such a 180 from how it's been for the last 50 years.
Yeah, no, it's remarkable. But what I was going to say is, you're in a position here where it's like you literally have a stacked roster, especially on offense. This is an offensive league. So while Hutch is devastating, and obviously he's beloved by the fan base, you lose Hutchinson, you can survive. You lose Goff, your season's over.
Yeah.
You start removing pieces on the offensive side, like injuries are the only thing, in my opinion, that could take this team down. Yeah. You get the wrong injury to, hammy for a running back, a knee for another guy, Amon-Ra gets an ankle. Like that's where, Goff's ankle is a little concerning. I wanted him out of that game fast when I saw that. It was like, get him out of there. There's no need, just hand the ball off, get Hooker out there, let him hand the ball off 50 times and let's get out of here.
Yeah.
You'd already won the game. There's no point. Yeah. So what do you do if you're the Lions and it's like, we have this stacked offensive roster? And the thing is that a lot of people don't understand is when you have a receiver or Hutch, for instance, Hutch might get triple teamed. Chris Jones gets quadruple teamed at times on an offensive line for the Chiefs. That frees up everybody else. So while his stats might not be mind blowing, what a guy with 4.2 speed does for you on go routes, on post routes, on seam routes, that guy's gone. He requires safeties covering deep for that. And it opens up stuff over the middle. Laporta's open. When you get those guys free, that's how you open up the rest of the playbook, the rest of the offense. The Lions are not the same offense if you take 4.2 speed off that offensive field.
Sure, but if he's got 4.2 speed, but he still can't seem to outrun his stupidity. Like he was probably handed everything in Alabama. He's probably been handed most things here because we didn't become this juggernaut till last season. I think they trade him. According to LA Times, Cooper Kupp is coming to the Lions, according to the LA Times article 2 days ago.
Cooper Kupp can't stay on the field.
No, that's true.
The problem
he's very
with
injured.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, but he's fast.
He's unbelievable. Dude, if you said you can get Cooper Kupp and we can guarantee he's there the rest of the season, he's there through a playoff run, and he'll be your starter healthy on Super Bowl Sunday, you take that deal. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, with Cooper Kupp, it's like watching Joey Bosa. I see more Joey Bosa on the sidelines with a baseball cap on than anyone in the league. It's like, yeah, he's amazing. The 2 games a year he plays.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of a teacup.
Yeah, and so I don't know if it's just, I don't know. I don't know what you do. But for us Lions fans that have been starved for decades, it's like, Okay, you have a window. We all understand it. There's a window in this league before guys get a little older, a little more banged up, too expensive. You have a window. The Lions are right in the beginning of that window. And that window can close in a year. It can close in 2 years in this league.
Sure.
Ask the Cincinnati Bengals how it's working out for them.
Yeah.
Right? Looked like they were going to be a juggernaut. They're garbage. So the Lions are absolutely capable of being the Cincinnati Bengals and not the Chiefs. So, it's like, what do you do here? If you got this weapon and he's making stupid decisions. I don't know. But it seemed you would hope these guys would get the message, understand the full gravity of things. But I don't know. It's
too young, too much money, very little discipline.
I had a problem with what's that, buddy?
I was going to say, I'm just really glad we don't have a Tyreek Hill video to watch today.
Yeah, right?
Somebody handled it all right, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, I do take issue with Jameson, the way he dealt with the police, too.
Okay.
What did he do?
It's clear from the body cam footage the officer does not know who Williams is, but repeatedly the wide receiver would remind him.
Yeah.
I play for the Lions, bro. I'm Jameson Williams. Minutes later, bro, I play for the Detroit Lions. Minutes after that, bro, I play for the Lions. The officer told Williams that his position did not influence whether or not he would be arrested. Williams' brother told police the gun belonged to him, but later on, Williams would admit, oh, yeah, the gun was mine. But, dude, there are such better ways to do this. And, Chris, you've been in somewhat the public eye for many, many years. I don't know if you've ever thrown out, do you know who I am? Have you ever used that card at any point?
One time, but it wasn't it was actually a really funny story. So we had just finished playing we just finished opening up for Grand Funk Railroad.
Okay.
And there was like 17,000 people there. Kiss was there hanging out backstage. It was bananas.
Yeah.
And Bill Blackwell, our manager, and he was Bob Seger, Kid Rock's tour manager forever. Still might be if Seger goes on the road again. But Bill's the greatest. So Bill he has a t-shirt business. Yeah. He has a t-shirt video. All right, not t-shirt video. He's got a t-shirt company, Blackbird Productions, and he uses Ferndale Police to do the undercover, like busting people who are selling fraudulent t-shirts outside the venue, et cetera.
Yeah.
So all the Ferndale cops, Bill's like, I know every Ferndale cop. So there's about 5 cars in front of me. With Steve, we both have beers in our lap. I look at Steve and I go, you want to see me get pulled over? And he goes, okay. And I get into the oncoming traffic lane and I pass all 5 cars and I turn left. Sure enough, we get lit up. I literally have an open beer in my lap. So does he. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I put the beer under the seat. And then cop comes over and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I just said, I'm so sorry. We were so excited. I said, we're the Voodoo Hippies. I was managed by Bill Blackwell. And I'm like, we were just so excited to do whatever. He goes, oh, Blackwell. He's like, don't be dumb, kid. Have a nice night.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But I would never. I mean, yeah, I can see how it was easy in that moment, but I was a fucking moron. You should have arrested me for sure.
I think there are ways to this. I'm guilty of this myself. I would never pull, do you know who I am? Like, never. And for Jameson, like, think about this. If he goes with, I play for the Lions, bro. I'm Jameson Williams, bro. Like that, first off, you're on cam. There's no cop interaction that's not recorded from the car or from, they're all wearing the cameras now on their person. So if he was like, if they're like, yeah, we're going to need you to step out of the car. And he's like, give me a second, man. I sprained my ankle against the Bengals. You know what I mean? Like that's the way to, you know what? Give me a second, officer. I'm not trying to be rude, but I got a strained hammy championship game in San Francisco last year against the Niners. Something like that. You know what I mean? And then you're on camera like, hey, I'm just explaining it like it is. Not, I'm Jameson Williams, bro. Detroit Lions, bro. Like, that's where it sucks. Because I got pulled over, I've talked about this before, 60 times on the way to work for the Drew and Mike show. There's no one on 696. No one at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. No one. And so I'd be speeding to work because I'm always running late. And the cops would pull you over. And I would never be like, bro, do you know who I am, bro? I'm Drew and Mike show. But if it was like, okay, between getting a ticket or not getting it, it's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry. The show's starting in 2 minutes here. Drew's about to do the intro, and I am late.
Yeah, and you also have the advantage of those cops that are on those cars all day. They probably are waiting for the Drew and Mike show to come on. So like, get the fuck over there, man. That's the rest of my day.
Yeah, without dropping the "Do you know who I am?"
Yeah,
seems like so many of these athletes do the "Do you know who I am?" thing. It's disrespectful.
I mean, I think Jameson Williams has proved and several times during the discussion of the show that he's no one's phone a friend on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, probably
no one's
not.
calling that guy for smart decisions. I guarantee you, I bet you'll find out that they covered stuff up at Alabama because he was so good.
Yeah. Well, we see this after the fact. I mean, you think of the Aaron Hernandez and the reports that were coming out of University of Florida, and you're like, holy shit, dude. Like this guy was a real problem. And you had police chiefs, sergeants, university officials all being like, yeah, but he's really fast and he catch really good. Mm-hmm. So we know he beat the shit out of some guy at the bar who spilled a drink on him. We know he pulled a gun and pistol whipped someone, but, he catched the ball real good.
In a small town, in a small college town back, 10 years ago, that was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing this, though, because I don't lie to myself. I know how the game is. I know that if I can find a creative way to drop Drew and Mike's name in the early 2000s in Metro Detroit, that's usually going to have an impact. And the cops are like, get out of here, you. I love the show, man. Knuckle bump, get out of here. If you're cool with them, they're usually cool with you. Yeah. And the one time a cop didn't, and he did give me a ticket, we talked about it on the air, and that cop got his ass chewed out by every other cop in town. Yeah, but I'm aware of that. And I've always said, hey, man, you want free Big Macs? Go work at McDonald's. You want to, there's good shit that comes with any job. There's perks. That's one of the perks of being these. And this is what I expect. Williams was handcuffed, placed in the back of the squad car. Detroit Police Commander Michael McGinnis supported the officer's actions. I feel there was probable cause for the arrest. He was under arrest by the patrol officer, and because of that, he should have been conveyed to the detention center and processed. But Williams was not taken to jail. Instead, a supervisor was called to the scene. The department says that's not unusual for a high-profile stop, and as a precaution to make sure that policy is followed in cases that could get a lot of media coverage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unlike the responding officers, the sergeant who showed up, big old Lions fan, knew exactly who it was.
Not even just Lions fan. I feel like more if you put Jameson Williams and Gen Pop, it might go bad.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about the scene there. Like before that, Gen Pop for a holding cell, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, you might get a lot of attention there, though.
So yeah, of course. So this guy immediately recognized his name. Body cam footage also showed the sergeant's cell phone wallpaper was the Lions.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is great, I mean, come on. Over the next 30 minutes, the sergeant would make a series of phone calls to higher ranking officials trying to determine if Williams absolutely needed to be arrested or if the driver's CPL covered, that's the concealed carry permit, covered both his and Williams' gun. At one point, the sergeant is seen leaning in to one of the arresting officers whispering, "I'm so mad at you two right now," which is hilarious. Commander McGinnis believed the sergeant was referring to both arresting officers in a jovial way. Right. After conferring with multiple supervisors, the sergeant makes two more phone calls. It appears Williams is about to be taken to jail. Be advised, he's coming in. You might want to make special accommodations. That's what you're talking about, Garrett. We can't just throw him in Gen Pop.
No, and then media shows up to the jail too, and you have that.
Yeah.
Circus.
Oh, yeah. A whole lot of things would take place. He's going to be going for a concealed weapon. But minutes later, everything changed. The sergeant spoke to a lieutenant who said Williams should be released from custody. The lieutenant's side of the conversation cannot be heard. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to let him go, the sergeant asked before hanging up. You're a fucking hero. Thank you so much. This cop wants this guy to walk free. Doesn't want to get in the way of this beautiful Lions season. Williams would be taken out of handcuffs, his gun returned, a police report was not written, and no warrant request was submitted.
But just think about how much it would have gotten news if then Jameson Williams shot all three cops.
Yeah, that would have
got some news.
Yeah, that would have made really tough decisions about whether or not he can start when he gets back from his suspension.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure he would never get back.
You know what the funny thing is? That's funny, but the best part is you go back 20 years ago in the NFL, they would have been trying to find ways to like sweep this shit under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
They would have. You remember those days, Chris?
Yeah.
When it was like, you find out way after the fact that he beat the shit out of some girl. They all knew, and it was like, well, we are playing the Bills on Sunday.
Who's the running back for Kansas City who P. Diddy'd his girlfriend in the elevator?
With the elevator one was Ray. And then he was nice enough to go back and pick up her shoe.
Right.
When she was out cold and he dragged her out of the elevator and then went back for the shoe. That was Ray Rice.
No.
You're talking about Kareem Hunt, Mike's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got both of those jokes. That was funny.
Thank you. What's that? What were you saying, Garrett?
Oh, nothing. Just Mike Hunt.
Mike Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he's got a brother, Mike. I hope for his sake he does.
Yeah.
Chief
or Harold.
Harold Hunt.
Harry Hunt.
Oh,
Harry Hunt.
Harry
No,
Hunt.
It doesn't work without the K.
Yeah.
You need the Mike. Dude, I've tried this with many names. It only works with Mike.
Rick
Hunt. No. Doesn't work.
Wouldn't that be the most unfortunate name ever? Rick Hunt.
Yeah. I posted a sign over the weekend when I was golfing. There was a Dixon Butts.
Yep.
Running for office.
Yeah.
I saw you're not going with Dixon Butts. You're a fan of Barry McCockiner.
Yeah, Barry McCockiner for 2024 is who I'm going with.
These are great names.
Yeah, aren't those great? Barry McCockiner.
I've always been a fan of Phil McCracken.
Yeah, Phil's old. Phil's
I know,
old.
but
Phil McCracken. That's up there with alcoholic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as good. Barry McCockiner is fucking great. That's great.
That is good.
Chief James White was very unhappy about the totality of the circumstances here, even to go as far as to say he was pissed off. I want to know if the fact that this individual was a Detroit Lions player, did that play a factor in the decision making, McGinnis?
Yeah.
That might be the dumbest question ever asked.
Yes.
I want to know. I demand to know if him being a Detroit no. What do you think the cop's going to say? No. I was barely aware of it. Of course, that's the only thing that came into play here.
Right.
The only thing. If this guy's name was James Williamson, trust me, he would have been arrested on the spot and brought into the fucking clink, like all of you would be.
Or if his name was Rick Hunt.
Yeah. Mike's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's cousin, Rick. By the way, staying on sports just for a minute before we get onto the Tony Hinchcliffe, Madison Square Garden garbage issue. For the first time ever, the audience for the World Series in Japan was larger than in the United States. They say driven largely by Shohei Ohtani. Largely or exclusively?
I would go with the latter.
Yeah, I would too. I know they're it's just words, but largely that's the reason. I'm going to say that is the reason.
Yeah, 100%.
The ratings for the second game of the Dodgers-Yankees scored 15.9 million viewers in Japan. Viewership in the U.S. fell to 13.8 million, making it the second biggest TV market for the series. Despite the lower ratings than Japan, the World Series has scored Fox Sports the biggest ratings the World Series has had since 2017. The ratings for the first two games in the 18 to 34 demo, up 93%. World Series engagement has been higher, 345 million views on social media, 25 million engagements, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. Don't you think that's really because of the markets involved?
Absolutely. They're both two major market cities. Who is a bigger baseball team than New York or Los Angeles?
No one.
Yeah.
They go on to say here, it's 63% bigger, the audience, than the last year's World Series. I was like, I don't even remember last year's World Series. Rangers, Diamondbacks. That drew an 8.1 million. So half the audience. It's like, yeah, LA Dodgers, if they're not the most historic, one of the most historic franchises in sports, I don't know. And then the Yankees, arguably, the most iconic name in sports, certainly in baseball. I mean, is there a franchise bigger than the Dodgers and the Yankees in Major League Baseball?
No, but also, I mean, there was a lot of factors like kicking into it. Like, for example, Fernando Valenzuela died on the eve of the first game, which
Yep.
no one would shut up about here in LA. Like, it was on everything. So I'm
Yeah.
sure that had increased traffic.
Aren't they wearing patches, like Fernando patches or something?
It could be. Do you remember watching him pitch?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I loved him.
He was
I
the
was a
greatest.
fan.
I was too. He was so great. And then he would he was so cold out. He would always go and then blow the cold air out.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, he would fake smoke on the mound for sure.
Yeah, that's funny. Was he doing weed like that, or was he doing cigarette?
I think it was cigarette.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, it was funny. I don't know. But I just remember being a little kid and laughing at that.
Are you into baseball these days, Chris? I mean, the Tigers were a lot of fun to watch towards the end of the season for sure in the playoffs. That was exciting for the first time probably in 10 years.
Yeah, I thought it ended the same sort of way the movie Moneyball ended, though. It was just like, like they crushed it at the end, and all of a sudden it's just like statistically you can't be. And but I think that it was very exciting considering they had the lowest payroll in the league.
Yeah, and 18 point something million.
And plus the fever, the Lions fever spilled over to the Tigers. And it was fun. I mean, it's absolutely, baseball is a fun sport when your team is winning.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I was thinking the same thing. Like football, you might not watch like just a random game on a Sunday necessarily, but when the playoffs start, I think most people are paying attention a lot. Like it's very easy to sit down for a National Football League game, no matter when. It's by far the most popular sport. If your team's in it, that's amazing, but nobody's not watching the Super Bowl. Right? Or the championship game. Those games get massive audiences every year. Where baseball, it's like, yeah, if the Tigers are in it, I'm into it. And the fact that it's two iconic franchises this year helps for sure. I'm paying more attention because it's the Yankees Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've tried to do a lot because that sport is absolutely dying. Speeding up the game, doing the, putting the pitchers on a count. But
having Caitlin Clark on a team.
Right. Have you seen that Netflix documentary, the new one on the 04? It's
Red
called
Sox?
The Comeback.
The Red Sox one? I saw it advertised yesterday for the first time.
It's great.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I memean, it could play out the same way. The 03 Red Sox lost in Game 7. That might have been the one when Pedro Martinez said, I tip my cap and call the Yankees my daddy. Mm-hmm. And then they had all the "Who's your daddy" signs and all that. How cool. It's really cool to relive those moments and the guys on that team and this 28-year-old GM and Theo Epstein making tough decisions and getting rid of Noma, Garciaparra and that team coming alive and going down 0-3 to the Yankees, the vaunted Yankees, and then, winning 4 games in a row, first time in Major League history. Well, the Yankees are going to have to do the same thing, going down 0-3 to the Dodgers this year.
Right. I don't see it happening. I think it's over tonight.
Do you?
They barely won against the bottom barrel of our pitching staff. Literally, they barely won. I get everybody wants a series, and so do I, But
that the Dodgers should not have won Game 1.
No,
that was a miracle walk-off in the 9th.
But it was pretty great baseball.
Yeah, it's been pretty good baseball.
Yeah.
I'll pay attention, sort of, but is it all the rage in LA right now?
Yeah, yesterday was bananas. Like my friend asked if I wanted to meet up and watch the game, and I said sure. And I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, but we had to go to 5 different bars to try to find space because it was packed. Everywhere was just bananas.
Yeah.
Everyone's got on Dodger blue.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Cool for this. It's good for the sport that you have these 2 iconic franchises in it. So, yeah, I wish I cared more, but I know in Japan they're very excited. So
that is exciting.
Yeah. All right. Should we get on to Tony Hinchcliffe, Madison Square Garden, at the Trump rally, the Nazi rally, I think it was. I think it's been dubbed officially the Nazi rally. which
I've heard.
is super helpful for sure. And do you want to watch a couple minutes of it?
Sure.
Of Tony Hinchcliffe? Did you see his whole set?
I saw the whole thing.
All right, why don't we watch a couple minutes of it? We can pause or stop whenever.
Yeah.
Because I know what the media will do. They'll grab stuff out of context, and so I wanted to watch this to kind of get a feel for this, and then we can discuss.
17 years ago, I was sleeping in my car behind the Comedy Store in LA, and I'm proud to say this is my 4th time performing at Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the damn world. The
That's
American
true. He was.
dream alive and well right here. This is very different than where I'm used to performing, though. I'm used to nighttime with people drinking, not so many babies in the crowd, and people that are obviously only here for Lee Greenwood tonight. Normally, I don't make my political beliefs a known thing. It's divisive for a comedian to do that, but just know I sleep well at night knowing who I'm voting for. Yeah.
It was smart. He didn't say he was voting for that.
When I lay down and my head hits my pillow.
By the way, use code TDC if you're buying a My Pillow.
Yeah, promo code TDC.
It is a fantastic pillow, by the way.
It is.
I agree.
I was staying at the
I've
Four
got 3 of them.
Seasons up by Central Park one night, and I laid my head down, and it felt so good, and I thought to myself, what an amazing pillow. I have a little bit of money now. I could buy a good pillow. And I took the pillowcase off, and there it was. My pillow, my pillow, my pillow. And damn it, I bought 4 of them. And if you use the promo code KillTony, you can also buy 4 My Pillows.
That's a really funny joke.
There's serious stuff happening,
great.
people. I live in the great state of Texas now. 18 years in Ohio, 20 years in California, and I got to see California turn to absolute horrendous thing. And traveling the world, I got to see San Francisco turn into one of the most demented cities, one of the greatest downfalls I've ever seen. And that is where the other candidate worked for 2 decades. And it's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas, stuff is really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, set up, punchline.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
I think he's getting to it here.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Free speech is under attack, people. I host a show, and each week I get updates what words we're allowed to use and not use anymore. It's happening right now the past few years. It's a real thing. And, you know, used to be able to tell people to Google stuff. My mom's a boomer in the state of Ohio, and there's no convincing her of anything. She's eating the cats. She's eating the dogs. They're eating the pets up there. It is absolutely wild times. It really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly
okay.
a perfect
I think we get
comedy.
The point. Chris, I'm interested in your take on this because there's a few things in that stand out to me. Mm-hmm. But why don't you give me your take?
Okay, so he's great at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's exceptional at being a roast comedian. He's brutal.
Yep.
He's mean. He's funny, and he was absolutely in the wrong venue for what he was doing. He absolutely told jokes he probably should have not told.
Yeah.
But just for the purpose of, but maybe there's not even a way to say that, because he's probably going to be huge after this. Like, he's probably going to be bigger than he was. He was exceptional on the Brady roast,
Brody,
and I'm sure
awesome.
he had momentum. I'm sure when Trump did Rogan, he was probably like, "You should have a comic on, have Tony on. He'll wake your people up." Trump was probably like, "Okay, that's a good idea."
You know what? I believe Trump's take, because you got to think of how big the operation is.
Mhm.
What Trump said something like, I don't even know who he is. I don't know who was speaking, blah, blah, blah. That's not an excuse, but there's probably some truth to that, there's, when you're putting on a 5-hour event, that you wouldn't be running every, like all the details about everything through the main guy. It's like, okay, we've got a comic going on, we got a band, we got another comic, and then we've got a lieutenant governor from the area who's important to this district where we're looking for voters. And it's probably like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
So is Trump sitting down going, this guy's on it, I love him? Probably not. That it probably is safe to say that he wouldn't have any idea who they're bringing on there. Maybe he did. Maybe he's a huge fan. But I'm inclined to believe it wouldn't shock me if someone like Trump has no idea who Tony Hinchcliffe is.
Sure. It wouldn't shock me if he knew him either.
Yeah. He probably should. Tim Walz didn't know who he was.
He's a fearless comedian. He's absolutely fearless.
Yeah. He's up there with Jeff Ross as far as roasting goes. He's up there with Greg Giraldo, I think was one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Some guys are not very good at it. It's a different
sport.
Yeah, it's a completely different sport, So, one of the things that stood out to me about that, and I think he's not wrong about it, he almost looks sort of uncomfortable.
He's incredibly uncomfortable. He's miserable from the second he starts. He's out of his element. He is doing all of the things that comics who are bombing do. Normally, I don't follow the national anthem. Oh, okay. His demeanor is completely different. If you watch back to back, if you watch the Brady roast and his energy and confidence in that, he was a monster. He was Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he became someone completely different. And I get it. Like his watermelon comment was so out of line.
So out of line. Funny as shit.
How do you know? You didn't see the person he was talking about. They didn't show him. It was completely out of context. He started off by saying, I used to be poor. Now I'm not poor anymore. Let's make fun of poor people and immigrants. Kind of a weird setup. Yeah. Kind of like, you want to be likable. You want to be appreciated. You want to be on point. You want to have people root for you. When you start out talking about how rich you are now and you're staying at the Four Seasons and you're also promoting your pillow code while on television, it's not relatable. It's not relatable. Everybody can, like, if he would have said, he's like, I'm just so happy to be here. 17 years ago, I was sleeping in my car behind the Comedy Store. Oh my God, I'm so excited this kid's here. Yep. Now I'm at the Four Seasons, and now I've played here 4 times, and now I've got my own really No, you're losing credibility because you're at a place where.
I think what you saw there is a comic swinging and missing and flailing in somebody. He looked really uncomfortable to me because you're so out of your element. Like, I would feel completely out of my element there too. Like, okay, I'm known for going hard in the paint with really inappropriate shit, but how do you do that at 2:00 in the afternoon with kids and babies in the crowd?
You don't.
You don't. It's a horrible booking, to be honest with you. It was a terrible booking.
But he did exactly what he does.
I don't usually go on after the national anthem. Absolutely true. And then, so there's a black guy sitting there with something on his head. He references him. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons. It's a terrible joke in his world. Inappropriate for
I was gonna say, in a comedy club, funny. In a Trump rally, probably not the best time for a black joke.
Yeah.
Okay, here, the key to roasting, several years ago, I don't know, maybe 10, I was a supervising producer on a pilot for a show that was shot at the El Cid for a TV channel called the Esquire Network that went off. On the show, the three people who were talent on the show, the three roasters, were Sarah Tiana, who's exceptional, Dion Cole, who is now super famous and doing all the Old Spice commercials, and Tony Hinchcliffe. Now, the concept of the show was, think Statler and Waldorf. There's like three people sitting up in a balcony. They're watching an open mic at El Cid. El Cid is this famous restaurant down on Sunset. It's kind of in the hood, sort of, or like a less glamorous part of Sunset. And then you have all these crazy people going up on stage doing open mic stuff, songs.
So it's Kill Tony?
It's 100% Kill Tony, but without them being on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if that's how he got the idea.
Yeah.
So the pilot didn't work because all of these people were doing was insulting people who couldn't hear them, who couldn't respond, and who couldn't like be in on the joke. So whereas Kill Tony, he's on stage with them, and there's an audience and a bunch of crazy people laughing. So the laughter is infectious and everyone's in on the joke. This is what Hinchcliffe was doing, and the way he was shot, it was like sniper fire. It was literally like he's sniping all of these different people that no one can see. Now, regardless of whether or not the watermelon joke was racist or unfunny or funny, no one saw the guy he was talking about. Yeah. So it's just like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. You now get to imagine what the hell happened. You don't get to see it, and it's crazy. Is that slow enough for you, Francis J. Fox? You douche. Anyways, the thing about it, like, unless you can have someone witness it or be there with you, it's a terrible idea. Obviously, if there was another Puerto Rican comic on the show who laughed at that joke, joke's fine. Joke's fine. And also, had he played that joke better, had he said there's an island of floating garbage in the Atlantic, it's called Staten Island, the whole place would have been bananas because he was talking about what everyone there would be able to see. It's
funny you say that because, for a comic, part of the reason that you need to have like a table set that we all understand. That's how you get the joke. That's why it's easy when you make a reference to a celebrity, like, okay, now we're all in it. We know who you're talking about. Where if you go, if you make some reference to your buddy that no one knows, has no backstory on, it's much harder to make that land. So it's easier to go after, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock and make a reference there. I understand why you're going to do the eating the dogs and cats, like whether that's real or not. That makes sense in that everybody understands that was a big story. We're all in on it. Sure. The Puerto Rico garbage one, I just think the setting is way out of line. Like having that guy there is destined to fail. In that, I have no problem with the jokes. None of them are offensive. I think if you were offended, it's likely just used as a gotcha. It's weaponized to like, see, this is further evidence why they're all Nazis. It's just a bad combination to put together on a stage. Now, what I didn't know is that Puerto Rico, apparently, this is a real fucking problem. I'm reading the comments. I did some Googling and read up on some stuff. People saying Puerto Rico is literally going through a landfill and a garbage crisis right now. Someone says, because Puerto Rico is a cluster of islands, the trash has nowhere to go, says Carl Soderberg. So we're one step away from the brink. 29 landfills are spread throughout the region. 18 do not meet federal standards because, among other violations, they function as open dumps. The landfills are already so full that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, predicts they will outstrip their capacity by 2023. And so I'm like, okay, who's Carl Soderberg? He's the senior policy advisor for sustainable water stewardship at Puerto Rico Aqueduct and Sewer Authority. So that's someone who would know and is addressing this problem. If you have that information going in, it's less racist and more addressing the problem you have. It's the whole problem I had with originally Trump coming out and saying they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. No, there's a real fucking problem underlying that when you dump 20,000 foreigners into a community of 53,000. That's the problem. That's the strain on the community. That's the language barrier when you're dealing with schools and
shifts.
social services. That's the real issue. It's not some guy ate a duck. There's a rumor that someone ate a cat. Not helpful at all.
Right.
And it's kind of like that with Tony Hinchcliffe. Like, they call it Puerto Rico, like, okay, well, I don't know what the whole story is, but it sounds like there's a real story here. Someone else goes on and says, Tony isn't stupid, nor was the joke. Even President Biden's administration has been suing Puerto Rico over it. And then someone says, because when hurricanes hit the United States, all the debris lands in Puerto Rico. Even if it was a joke, the crisis needed a highlight. If my country of El Salvador got a joke on national TV about how bad the gangs were, then it's news. Who cares about your precious feelings? Puerto Rico has a problem and people need to know about it. Someone else says, as a Latino, I feel the only offensive thing you can call us is Latinx, which is great. I agree. That would be really offensive if I was Latino and they called me Latinx.
I've heard that from a lot of Latinx people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They don't say that as much anymore.
Like, also genuine Hispanic Latin people.
Wouldn't it be kind of funny, or ironic, or ironical, as Fred Durst says, that in 10 years, for the past 10 years, you've got television hosts, comedians, pundits, news reporters, papermen or paper people.
What are paper people?
Like, I guess
newspaper people.
Yeah, I was going to say newspaper man, but I guess you have to say, because of the
print
aces.
media.
No, I'm with you.
For the helpful
paper
hardware
people.
folks, people, and all of these different people coming at Trump and trying to do jokes and doing jokes and jokes and jokes for like 10 years. Everybody's coming at him. It falls off him. Just falls off him. Nothing happens. And all of a sudden he books a comic at his event.
Yeah.
And this guy has that, like, the way the media has been for the past 3 days, it's almost come across like this one kid, that one 15-minute set has the potential to swing the election.
Not a chance.
I'm telling you, man.
No.
If it's still being like everything that for the past 4 straight days or 3 days, every trending topic is Puerto Rico, how the Cardinal of Puerto Rico is pissed at Tony, everything Tony Hinchcliffe hate, how Jon Stewart is because Jon Stewart stuck up for him. Everything is focused on this, and everyone's talking about, and the whole Biden and his administration is leaning into what a monster Nazi hate racist he is. And then he gets a couple of bourbons in him and calls them garbage people.
Yeah, I think it's silly to think that. I think we've got two things going on here. We have a time in history where people want to pretend like this is normal, like the politics we're dealing with are normal. And you're right. Historically speaking, an incident can throw off your whole thing. The fact is he's brushing off. I met him and 30 seconds later, he was grabbing my titties and my ass. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. We've dealt with 9 straight years of this. 9 straight years of this stuff. I do not believe that the I'm on the fence, I don't know who I'm voting for guy exists. I don't think
so either. I don't think so either.
It's bullshit. And the idea that someone else makes a joke on your stage and that's going to swing and I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Now, the only thing you're, sure, but I don't think it would have that effect. That's just me personally. I don't think these things matter. I think people are absolutely, there's no avoiding it. There's no avoiding this election, the Trump years. It's all that dominates the media landscape completely. It's the cover of everything. So the idea that you've been living in the woods and you have no idea, I'm trying to learn what I can about these candidates. I don't think that guy exists.
Right.
And so the only thing you're talking about with undecided voters is it pressing enough for someone that they're like, oh God, traffic looks like a nightmare out there. I'm just going to sit this one out. Like, can those people leave their couch and go vote? Will they leave and go vote?
I mean, it's so interesting because I know so many people who are like, I'm not voting. And
really?
A ton of people. And it's like, okay, idiot.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that's saying that, but I don't really go out and talk to a lot of people.
Right. I think that, I mean, it's like, it's so close. It's so close.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. I don't trust the system. I keep going back to it, but when I had Craig Jardula on, election expert, who travels the world looking at elections and, broke down all the bullshit that goes on in American elections. I just have no faith. I think these people mean it when they talk about existential threat. Well, what do you do with an existential threat? What do you do with Hitler? Well, you kill Hitler. You don't.
Mhm.
So I think all the decorum that usually goes into these things can be self-justified away. Any behavior is okay. And if that means I stand firm that I don't see them allowing that individual back in the White House. I don't.
I think he's probably winning at this
Oh,
point.
he's definitely winning. There's
Yeah.
no
Dude.
doubt in my mind. Find a Kamala Harris support sign somewhere.
They're all
I
over.
can't.
They're pretty common here now.
They might be in LA, but
Yeah.
I don't see them.
Detroit too. I'm getting a lot of them driving around out here.
Are you really?
More Trump signs, but there's a surprising amount of Kamala.
Yeah, there's probably not a lot of
Or
Kamala in
I'm
Arizona.
supposed to say.
No, none in Arizona. Trump shit everywhere.
Sure.
Texas when I was
Border
there.
states.
Yeah. I look at it like this. I think, I was talking yesterday about I went through Obama's 2008 DNC speech, and it was startling. He would be considered mega MAGA today. His speech in 08 is mega MAGA. And so it's very hard to explain to people like, dude, a lot of people haven't gone off the deep end. They're wondering what happened to these people, where they went, and some of his quotes from that night. And I think it's key, the last one, but, I will tap our oil reserves. I will go through the federal budget line by line and eliminate programs that no longer work. I will rebuild our military to handle future conflicts. I'll renew tough direct diplomacy that can prevent Iran from ever getting nuclear weapons. I don't know anyone who benefits when an employer undercuts American wages by hiring illegal workers. These are Obama's comments in 08.
Right.
And then the
08
the last one that I thought was really telling is what you're seeing play out with something like Tony Hinchcliffe's comment means the world. Oh my God. Holy shit. It's going to change. It's the October surprise. It's going to change the election. Obama said 36 minutes into his speech, if you don't have a record to run on, you paint your opponent as someone to run from.
Mm-hmm.
That says just about everything you need to know. The change we need doesn't come from Washington. It comes to Washington. That's Barack Obama. And so, this is what you're seeing time and time again. I can't tell you anything good that I'm going to do. I don't even feel the need to do interviews and and do that kind of stuff. He's bad. He's evil. He's a Nazi. Did you hear what he said about garbage people, Puerto Ricans? Are you listening?
Right.
Like, no, you're all you're doing is just telling me how awful the other guy is. And Obama laid out the game plan perfectly in 2008. If you have nothing to run on, you paint the other guy as a problem. And that's what you're seeing play out.
That's what she's
clear.
Doing. That's all she's doing. She doesn't answer any questions. She's afraid to go on Rogan.
It's unbelievable. I think it would be a bad move for her to go on Rogan. I was saying for months she should go on Rogan. I don't. It's fucking weird to me. It's weird.
She doesn't talk.
I don't. What is that though? Why can't she go? Hey, you know what? We thought that Trump was blah blah blah, and we implemented some things that didn't work out in the best way. And you better believe when I get in there, I know what I'm doing, and I will be tough on the border. It's not the safest way that things have been handled. Like there's ways to answer for your past record.
Yeah, it's disturbing because her answer to everything is, well, I'm not as bad as Trump.
Yeah.
And she also didn't do anything in the 4 years she was there. It's just like to me, it's not the greatest set of opponents to choose from. In my opinion, I think we probably differ.
Yeah.
But
dude, I am not the Trump fan people think I am. Believe it or not. I am so disgusted by the media. My whole narrative is how evil the media is. And they're dealing with trying to contend with guys like you or me or Rogan or people that just have platforms and have voices. and are tearing through these news stories and giving our own opinions and are reaching people just by talking like normal people. And so the day of ownership, complete and elite ownership over the messaging is over. And they're struggling with how to deal with that. Just being able to go, I'm rolling up my sleeves and getting to work for the American people. Like that guy can't get through right now. Right. And he never will again. Yeah. And so it was, it sucks because I would have liked to hear more from Shapiro in Pennsylvania. Like that guy, unfortunately, would have really outshined Kamala Harris. Yeah. And, they were stuck in a real tough spot of how do you remove a woman of color from this ticket and then put a white guy in there and still be the virtue signal of party of inclusion? Like, how do you do that? Well, you can't. You can't. And so they were stuck this round with Kamala Harris. And she, like, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. How is she a fucking prosecutor? And can't answer the most basic of questions.
It's weird. It almost comes across like she's a little afraid.
It sort of does.
I've heard that. I've heard not just that. I've also heard that she never really wanted to get this far in politics. That was kind of just with the staff quitting and the fact that she's always late to meetings. Everyone was like, no, she just doesn't seem like she was ever interested. It was just money.
Yeah, I mean, that seems crazy, but
she always declined the thing, but it got to a point where I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about how she just never showed up or never wanted to do anything political. She just wanted the status, title, and the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
She might be on the verge of a lot of status.
Yep. Yeah. A little too much status.
What do you think?
Every move.
What do you think California's going to look like? Because you'll be there next Tuesday, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What do you think?
California's going to be Harris Walls all day.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
Do I think? Here's what I think is going to happen. I'll give you my 2 cents.
Yeah.
And then I got to take.
And then you got to go
work.
Yeah.
I think whether Trump wins or loses, he's going to say that there was fraud, and because he's lawyering up in every
he's already
state,
claiming now.
Yeah. So no matter what, he's not going to go quietly. So there's going to be weird, conflicty January 6th type stuff going on.
No, there's not.
Question. I mean, hey man, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just think that if she loses, I think it's going to be just as fucking bananas because I think people are just going to. I think it's going to be crazy. I think there's going to be like miniature problems for a minute or two till everybody calms down because people are just too worked. Like the way you said, the way the media is evil, everyone is just so worked up one way or another.
Yeah.
A lot of and if it's really close or not close, the people who want Trump to win really want Trump to win. The people who want Kamala to win really want Kamala to win. One of those people are going to be wrong, and they're going to be really bummed out about it.
Yeah,
I think that there's going to be. That's what I think. My January 6th type stuff. I don't think anyone's going to try to take over the Capitol, but I think that there's going to be some stuff.
Here's what I would say because I know this narrative you're talking about, and I agree that you're going to have tantrums thrown. You're going to have complaints. Here's the difference between 2020 and today. And that difference is no matter what happens, November 6th, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's military and all the three-letter agencies are in power. So Donald Trump, this current moment, and on November 5th, 6th, all the way to January 20-something, is a normal American citizen. He doesn't have access to the military. He doesn't have access to the DOJ.
Yeah,
he doesn't have access to anything. So if he loses, he can whine and cry and bitch. He can go to the media and scream bloody murder. He can file all the lawsuits, but he doesn't have any power. None. Zero. So if shit hits the fan, if all hell breaks loose, Trump's going to go after his political opponents. He's going to fucking imprison this. He's going to kill American citizens. Like, with what? With the authority of what behind him? Either he wins and none of that shit matters because he's not going to attack anybody if he wins. And if he loses, it's Kamala Harris's and it's technically Joe Biden's military, police force, all of it. So if shit goes down, say Trump wins, he still doesn't have that power. And he won't have that power for 2.5 months. So even if he wins and holy hell breaks loose, Well, it's Biden's Department of Justice dealing with it, not Trump's.
I hope you're right.
I take solace in that. Like, okay, he's just a fucking businessman at that point. Like, what's he gonna do? Be cry and whine all he wants. He can file lawsuits. That's perfectly within his rights. I would encourage him to do so. But as far as like doing anything and say his people start marching on the Capitol, well, then what's Joe Biden's fucking Department of Defense going to do about it? What's his law enforcement going to do about it? That's what it comes down to. So
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So I hope that if anyone on the right, gets out of control, I hope Joe Biden's Department of Defense and National Guard goes in and fucking handles it. You don't have the right, because you lose an election, to start tearing up a city, to start lighting shit on fire, to trashing your neighbor's house. No, you don't have that right. You can protest. You can make your voice heard. You do not have the right to destroy shit. And I hope, for the sake of this country, that Joe Biden's National Guard, yes, his National Guard if necessary, goes in and fucking maintains peace. That's his job. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
go. I know
point.
You got to take Michelle, buddy.
All right. Last thing I'll say.
Yeah.
When the pizza guy delivers the table.
Yeah.
How come the pizza guy doesn't deliver chairs? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Because the mice that are meant to eat off that table just walk right up to it and munch away. They don't need seats. They got their body's not designed for seats like yours.
That's fair.
Where'd you get pizza from? Did you get Detroit style?
No, the only Detroit style place here sucks.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Don't they bill that as Detroit style, like 8 Mile Pizza or something?
Yeah, It's called Detroit's D-Town Pizzeria.
Really?
Not good.
Yeah.
All right, kids. All right. Well, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon. Have a great rest of the night. Say hi to Michelle for me.
Will do. Happy birthday, Garrett.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
All right. See you, pal. All right. Yeah, I think I know I've made that point twice now. I think I did it in the members area, but I think it's critical because I know there's a lot of people that assume Trump has some sort of power that as an average, just as an American citizen, he just doesn't have at that point. So, and if people get out of control, I've said it for decades, when the left does it, when Antifa does it, when the George Floyd riots and BLM goes nuts. No, no, you don't have a right to terrorize the rest of the country because you disagree with something. That's not how you behave. And so if people on the right that want to vote for Trump, they don't also then get to get out of control and I'm going to jump in and join in with them. No, bullshit. You don't get to tear up your city either if things don't go the way you think. Yeah. And the best part about that is Trump will have no power and he won't have power for months. So it would be Biden's Department of Justice for them to deal with it.
Yes. And I also personally think like J. Chris isn't too wrong if there is no Trump election, a January 6th thing, because if we think about what happened with the last January 6th, really looking into it, it was a lot of federal agents who were kind of responsible for shady shit.
Look, I know that's tinfoil hat, but
if there is like a rally at any political office down in DC or something, I can totally see them trying to open the fucking doors and get some stupid people in there.
Fact of the matter is that was a Fedsurrection that happened January 6th. Just wait, because I know that's tinfoil hat. We're crazy.
No,
conspiracy
I don't think so anymore.
People will understand more as time goes on. They're not ready for it yet to understand that their federal government was heavily involved. This is an old playbook tactic. It happened in, was it Brazil during their election? They had the exact same thing happen a few months ago. Same exact playbook, January 6th all over again. But try to tell that to a lefty. Like, you're just a tinfoil hat. I don't even go there. Other shows have done it. But make no mistake about it. It's Gretchen Whitmer's being kidnapped all over again.
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
it was 2 dumbasses and 4 federal agents or something.
Should we listen to Biden talk about the garbage? By
the way, those Whitmer kidnappers, they got cleared of all charges.
Yeah, shock.
Shock. Here we
go. Let's hear Joe Biden.
I also have Trump's reaction, like a video too, under a minute.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters, his is demonization of things as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Yeah, you think Anderson's going to push back on that? I didn't think so.
No, the only thing he pushes back on is cock.
Yeah. Joe Biden is facing significant backlash after calling tens of millions of people who voted for Trump garbage, a remark that the administration has frantically tried to clean up. Biden was speaking on a campaign call Tuesday night about an insult comic. Okay, we went through all that. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Kamala Harris was giving her speech outside in the backyard there at the White House, I think, when he's on this fucking call. They don't want him anywhere near her. Nowhere near her.
No.
I don't know that this wasn't absolutely intentional. Senator Tom Cotton posted on X, what an outrageous smear of half the country from the president. Joe Biden's long career is ending in disgrace, confusion, and embarrassment. That's not a gaffe. It's what he and Kamala Harris genuinely think about you. J.D. Vance said a mother mourning her son who died of fentanyl overdose is not garbage. A truck driver who can't afford rising diesel prices is not garbage. A father who wants to afford groceries is not garbage. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden ought to be ashamed of themselves. It goes on and on and on. I think this dude fucking hates Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Biden?
he hates her.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Biden thinks she can't win. He's probably not wrong. And thinks that was stolen from him, which it was. That he was cooed out of office. You know, you can be okay with that. You can look at that and go, yeah. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, and that I'm okay with it.
I think
you can have that opinion, but let's be honest about it. That dude made crystal clear he was going nowhere. He was in for the long haul. He believes he's the only one that can beat Trump because he's done it before, and they fucking took that from him. And so, yeah, would it surprise me if this is the basket of deplorables comment from Hillary Clinton that sank her? And he's like, yeah, fuck her. She wants me in here on a conference call. Fine. She wants to be out there without me anywhere near. Fuck her. And makes a comment like that.
Well, not just that. I think, and I fully kind of believe this, that the Obamas are the ones who ousted the Bidens. The Bidens retaliated by throwing Kamala in there like a flashbang.
Yeah,
they
but
knew
I
she
don't
couldn't
think
win and she was nothing.
I don't think the Obamas wanted her there. I think that
No. That's what I'm saying. Is Obama didn't want her to be the presidential incumbent. That's why they got Biden out of there. And before they could get anybody else in, he quickly threw out, and Kamala's taking over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he knows she can't win. He's like, no, fuck you, Obamas.
Seymour Hersh wrote about this, his article. We went through it one day.
I think
like,
that's fully,
it's clear.
This is the Biden, not just Joe, but the Bidens saying fuck Obamas and throwing Kamala in the mix.
And how much Obama was involved, I don't know. I'm assuming he was involved. Most people feel like this is his third term and he's looking for his fourth term. I don't know. Joe Biden has a real fucking problem with Nancy Pelosi. They haven't spoken a word since then. He's been on camera talking to Obama. That stuff has happened. He still pretends like he likes Kamala Harris. That crew doesn't want him anywhere fucking near him. He is toxic, absolutely toxic. But Nancy Pelosi must have been the pulling the strings behind the scene because they haven't spoken since.
I'd see
and it's pretty common that's going on out there. Yeah, I was reading Maureen Callahan's article about this. And she's talking about these people, how they feel about half the country. Because I think we've been pretty clear about it, Garrett. I don't hate people that have a problem with Trump or are voting for. I really don't. I don't hate them. I don't wish ill will to them. I have had multiple people on the left say, like, if we could just eliminate all conservatives, we'd be better. Like, seriously, they do sort of feel that way. A lot of them, not all of them.
Like I said, I've famously been spit on a gay date for being a Trump supporter.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So I'll pick up here midway through one of her paragraphs. Now, was that a clumsy reference to Puerto Rico's decades-long environmental crisis caused by overflowing trash, endangering water, air, soil, and wildlife? Perhaps, but it did not land that way. That joke, defended by Jon Stewart, was too easily read as racist. It was terrible, unforced error. Trump's campaign swiftly disavowed it. Just the other day, Biden said they called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating are out there is his supporters. It was the quiet part said out loud again. The mask slips and can't be properly affixed. Conservatives don't express this kind of hate for liberals. Confusion, sure. Skepticism, yeah. Trump attacks Democratic elites, the lunatic left, and says plenty of wild stuff. But you don't hear him calling Harris supporters garbage or deplorables. Yet the Dems and their compatriots in the left-leaning media continue to glorify themselves as the party of kindness, unity, and tolerance when they are anything but. In their eyes, anyone who questions trans orthodoxy is an irredeemable bigot. Anyone not pro-Palestine is a genocidal warmonger. If you question unfettered late-term abortions, you want to strip women of all their rights. If you want a controlled border, you're racist. And if you're voting for Trump, you're trash.
Yeah.
On Wednesday morning, Harris attempted to clean up this mess, speaking to a press gaggle at Joint Base Andrews. Has she spoken to the president since his remarks? He did call me last night, but this didn't come up. Is she kidding? This didn't come up. Just when you think Harris can't get any more inauthentic, she outdoes herself. It's truly the only thing she's any good at. Why not express anger, disgust, emotion? Why not make a true faith effort to speak to undecideds who are doubtless now leaning toward Trump? Then again, this is a woman who continually praises Dougie, the troublesome husband who allegedly slapped an ex-girlfriend and knocked up the nanny. Perhaps Kamala Harris is well-versed at excusing bad behaviors by the men in her life. Asked whether Trump voters would find Biden's remarks insulting, Harris said, "I am running for president of the United States. We know. Talking with the American people to lift them up around their aspirations, their ambitions, their dreams." This again, unreal. How is it that none of her speechwriters, none of those ex-Obama geniuses are able to craft her a pitchy rejoinder? Whether she's animated by fear, ineptitude, or laziness, Harris keeps ratifying one truth. She's not up to the job. Yeah.
I have Trump's comment, too, on the Biden garbage.
Go ahead. On Biden or on Tony
on
Hinchcliffe?
Biden calling people garbage.
Oh, okay. So this is in
new.
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Okay.
That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable? And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him. For he not knoweth what he said. These people, terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be right about that.
It's possible.
But that's a terrible thing. That's
That's
All right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's true. If people are being honest about it, Trump doesn't attack he really doesn't punch down very often.
No, not too often.
You know, he'll go after illegals. He's gone hard after, sending rapists and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's called them animals. But to try to pin that as like, oh, he's just talking about anyone who's an immigrant. Like, no, that's not at all what he has been saying. And he goes after the elites hard. He does, as he should. Fuck those people. That's who he goes after. But, that comment about anybody voting for Trump, this idea that anybody voting for Trump is a Nazi or a fascist is, fuck those people. Who cares? But it is how they feel.
Yeah.
They do feel that anybody in there, Joy Behar was saying, I want a list of names of people who were in Madison Square Garden. Like,
why?
What is the matter with you? There are people that are voting like, if there's even a fucking chance that grocery prices can go down, then I'm voting for them.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there are people that, like, no, it has nothing to do with, some horrible, fascistic view on anything. It could be as simple as that. And to just target all those people like they're evil, fascistic Nazis. All you're doing is watering those terms down, by the way. It doesn't do any good.
It's gotten so ridiculous. It's like I've never known a time where I've seen so many gay, black, and Hispanic Nazis in my life.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and it sucks because, being called a racist nowadays is just like a kind of a badge of honor. Like,
at
all
this
right.
point, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And
being called a homophobe or transphobe, like who gives a shit?
Yeah, I get
You've
called
taken
homophobe all the time.
Yeah, you take stuff that has real power behind it, and then you make it nothing. You've made it nothing. It's just like there was a headline I saw: if everyone's Hitler, no one's Hitler.
Yeah.
So what did you accomplish by that? It's the
I
panic of
mean,
these guys not getting their exclusivity to the narrative. I'm convinced
we
that's
are
what it is.
we are talking about the same people who are like, well, if Elon Musk gave everybody $1 million, I mean, he could do that. He could afford it. And then it's like, well,
Yeah.
if he gave everybody $1 million, then what's $1 million worth?
Yeah,
Not
it's
shit.
worth
'Cause
nothing.
we all got it.
Yeah. By the way, this is coming out, and I don't know that this matters. How much this matters? I imagine there's a level of this in every election. Of course there is. But it doesn't help. There's a real problem, if you don't trust the vote. And University of Michigan student from China, not a U.S. citizen, allegedly voted Sunday in Ann Arbor, is being charged with 2 crimes. The filing, and this just dropped today. The filing of the charges was revealed Wednesday in a statement from Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's office and the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office. The press release didn't identify the student, but described him only as a non-U.S. citizen. The 19-year-old from China was legally present in the United States, but not a citizen, which means he couldn't legally cast a vote. Don't worry, sir. Kamala's working on that for you.
Yeah.
They're working on that for you, but hang tight. Not yet. Not yet. He registered to vote using his U of M student ID and other documentation establishing residency in Ann Arbor. He signed a document identifying himself as a U.S. citizen, and his ballot was entered into the tabulator. Yep. The ballot was cast in an early voting site at the U of M Museum of Art on State Street. Later, the U of M student voter contacted the local clerk's office, and he asked, first, is there any way I can get the ballot vote back? I don't know why he wanted it back, but he was asking that. The student's ballot is expected to count, so that's the good news. So he might be in a little, naughty time. He might get a timeout, but his vote is going to count. Still.
Do you think this is a case of he just got ginned up, went and voted, and then all of a sudden one of his buddies was like, "Hey, buddy, I don't think you're allowed to do that."
He's like, "What? What are they going to do to me?
I had the paperwork."
So, I don't know what this means, but now they're like, "Yeah, it's going to count." There's no way for us to be able to find out.
Well, it'll make up for the voting boxes they were setting on fire in Oregon.
Yeah, they were able to save some of those, by the way.
A couple of them.
Put the fires out. I was wondering if you knew the equipment they were using to put those fires out.
Well, they're supposed to have fire suppression equipment inside the voting boxes that just didn't work.
Oh, seriously? Is that?
They actually have little devices inside there that pop, and they'll put the fires out if they start inside the voter box.
Okay, well that would make sense. So I think there was there a pro-Gaza message left in there? I thought I saw
so.
That when they put the fire out, there was some sort of pro-Gaza message in there.
Oh, it's Portland. It could have been there for a while.
That's true. Good point. So yeah, we're grateful for the swift action of the clerk in this case, who took the appropriate steps and referred the case to law enforcement. We're also grateful to law. What steps? Like, so what? He rooked wrong? Like, how? Yeah. What does that mean? Like, he came off as a legal American citizen and then cast a vote, and then you went, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh.
He rooked off. So what? You then called law enforcement and went, yeah, there was a Chinaman in here a minute ago. I'm pretty sure he's not legal. Like, how did that go down?
I'm sure somebody probably called on him.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably one of his buddies who's one of those secret Trump voters was just like, yo, I got a quick little thing to tell you guys. Hey.
I'm going to hold this story. Let's do some email. And this is interesting. This probably doesn't mean anything, and it's probably not nefarious. But I did see this. James sent me this screenshot here. This was ABC News. His subject says, he already lost. And I saw this earlier. This apparently happened during the race over the weekend. And maybe you can see it here if I just hold it up to the camera.
Harris Trump.
So apparently Harris has got 52% of the vote. Trump 47. That's in Pennsylvania, and reporting 100%. So apparently she's already won in Pennsylvania. Blah blah blah.
I don't know.
Their excuse is something like, "Oh yeah, we're going through all kinds of testing, and it randomizes." Blah blah blah. Now, in truth, there would be a lot of testing going on with these systems. There's no doubt why that would pop up on the screen for people that it doesn't help. Let's just say that when so many people are distrustful of the systems on both sides, really, but when there's so much distrust right now, I think it's you need to have your ducks in a row and make sure shit because that just looks bad. These mistakes all seem to go in the same direction. We've talked about that forever. They all seem to go in the wrong direction. I Googled Trump assassination attempt. It was like, you must be searching for Kamala's latest rally where everyone loves her because she's super popular. You're like, no, that wasn't what I was Googling. And then Google comes out and says, oh yeah, there was a glitch. There was a glitch that made that. And you're like, yeah, we're all familiar with the glitches. So yeah, apparently she won in sort of a landslide too, 52-47. So congratulations to Kamala Harris.
Hashtag Pennsylvania and hashtag cheating are both flying off the handle right now on X, and it's not looking good. A lot of footage that they don't want to show you on the news right now.
Yeah, I've seen some of that too. Late night Dropbox stuff,
Yep. Guys holding buckets of votes.
Yeah, it all looks bad, man. It all honestly looks fucking bad.
It's all shit that Craig Jardula was pointing out to us.
Yeah. And I don't know. Again, I don't trust that these people, there's not a line that they won't cross. I just don't. That's just me.
They already tried to kill him twice. There's no line.
Yeah, and maybe some of you still have faith in the system at large. Maybe you do. I'm not one of those people. I don't. I think these are rotten to the core individuals. I think they truly are the most selfish people on earth, power hungry, and there's a real threat to their power. And by any means necessary means something. DEI. This is more for, it's for both of us, Garrett, but
okay.
I'm a Call of Duty fan.
Same.
You a Call of Duty fan?
Every once in a while they hit it.
Do you have the new one?
No. See, like I said, every once in a while they get it right.
Okay, well here, let's see if they got it right in your world. The newest Black Ops 6 came out and I was stoked to play it. And DEI has hit video games. Yeah. For reference, you play as part of a secret Black Ops military team. The most badass of military people going into the most dangerous situations to save the day. Wouldn't you know
CIA.
it? This badass team includes 2 chicks and a dude in a wheelchair.
Yep. And if you know anything about the Black Ops, they always take place in the past too. So it's supposed to be all sort of like 60s kind of.
Yeah, didn't they do Nazi Germany?
Yeah, they went to the future too for a while, but that's whatever. They can do whatever they want in the future. But the Black Ops series itself is very MK Ultra, like secret government organization, Call of Duty stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of funny that it's like, I think this one is the 90s and there's a wheelchair and 2 women in a Black Ops brigade when women were not in combat roles in the military.
Yeah. So 2 women. I want to do one of these first-person shooter games with a dude in a wheelchair. That's kind of dope. It's kind of like my ornament with Black Santa in a wheelchair.
There was a game that lets you do that for a minute if you want to play. It's Wolfenstein 2. The
Wolfenstein did it. Were they doing it like hilarious, or was it like
No. You were reattached to a body that you couldn't control yet, and your way of getting around the place to get out was shooting yourself to push a wheelchair.
And that makes sense for the storyline. Yeah. Totally makes sense. He goes on, and of course, our fearless leader is a black dude. I think there's a lot of black dudes in the military that are absolutely badasses. Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that. 2 chicks and a dude in a wheelchair seems a bit much.
Not in a Black Ops, no.
For the record, I could care less if the leader is black. No, you couldn't care less.
That's why you put it there.
It's a pet peeve of mine. He's out for my goat with stuff like that. I could care less if the leader is black, but it feels awful forced to include every aspect of DEI. Honestly, I'm shocked there isn't a trans, just a lady, as part of the team. Although I just started the game, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is still coming. Hi,
Go on the multiplayer. Hello.
So
just go on the multiplayer. They'll add a trans character soon.
Probably. I don't know how would you know? Because you'd have to make it
They'd
like
make it known. Look at what Star Wars just did with their trans stormtrooper. They put the pink and blue right on it, which is weird to me because it's like now in the Star Wars universe they have the regular world's trans flag as the trans flag in Star Wars.
oh, do they? Even though
Yeah.
that was invented like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Well, they have
over
that
here
now?
in
Cool.
our world, now they have Star
Yeah.
Wars like whatever. They got a trans character, but why do they have the same colors as ours? They should be their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. They're
Not to
not
mention
even
it was
trying
a
anymore.
clone of a man who became trans.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was a clone of the
Which
clone
Star
troopers.
Wars are you talking about?
So this is off of a newer one. It's a new release in the Clone Wars series, and the Clone Wars are all clones of one guy. Basically, they were supposed to be like a Jango Fett, but
Yeah.
that's the whole army. So one of them apparently is now trans. They used to call him sister, and now it's a woman and stuff. The druid's hair,
God.
but it's just so fucking.
Yeah.
You
But
didn't have to.
It's the problem they run into with the gay character in TV, where you got to flamboyant the shit out of him. Otherwise,
Exactly. You have to point them out.
yeah. So how do you do that when their whole goal is to pass as just a lady? Don't mind me.
Well,
You almost
easily.
have to do the cartoonish version of the fucking guy.
Yeah.
You almost need to do that to make the trans point in your DEI bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you have to do the cartoonish version of that guy. And it's I'm a ma'am. Like that's the only way it works. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, it's just a chick in there or just a guy in there.
Yeah. Well, they could have
so
easily
how do you
just
point it out?
You didn't have to use the colors. I mean, it's all clones of one dude, and if one of them's a woman, we can probably get the picture. Like, oh, that one's just a woman. That's probably trans.
Was the Clone Wars, was that originally a fan written thing?
I don't think so. No, I think it was
Was that
George
Lucas?
Lucas brought it up. Yeah, it was Lucas during the prequels.
Okay.
He brought that up a lot.
Yeah. They do reference the Clone Wars at one point, but I know there's like cartoon versions of the Clone Wars, and I know there's a lot of. When I read the book and interviewed the guy who did the autobiography on Lucas, I thought I'd read in there about just how much those guys were reading some of the incredible fan stories that were going around on the internet. I thought the Clone Wars started.
No, Clone Wars was Lucas written.
Was it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Never mind. Send your emails.
It could have come off of fan stuff, but it is, yeah. Call me wrong if I'm wrong.
I'll get to the rest of these emails tomorrow. We'll do a member show tomorrow, Garrett.
Sounds good.
To wrap up the week, it's going to get crazy. I think Amy's going to join us next week when she's back in town. Be fun to have her getting in as we get closer to the election. On Tuesday, don't know that we'll have a winner by Wednesday morning, but it should be fun to have her on. I think she's been getting into it with some people online too, which should be funny to hear about.
It's the season.
Yeah. It's so funny. If you know Amy at all, you know what a sweetheart of a human being she is.
Yeah.
And to think that people are like, she's a Nazi. It's like, ugh. If you only understood how fucking deranged you have to be to get to that conclusion, it's just crazy. But anyways, well, it's always fun to talk to her. We'll do that, but we'll do a member show tomorrow, patreon.com/TDC podcast. Become a member. We do one show a week there on Thursdays. And I look forward to that. So Garrett, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great birthday, buddy. You doing anything special? You going out with your hot mom or anything? Or
might have a couple drinks at a bar sometime Saturday with a couple friends, but I haven't really decided anything. Just it's a weird time. Money's always tight because money's always tight in this economy.
That's what your hot mom's for.
Exactly.
Have her buy you dinner or something.
Well, she's on her way back from the Virgin Islands right now, so we'll see how up she is for it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
all right. Fine. Hanging on the Virgin Islands. Must be nice.
Fair, plane rides are cheap, and her sister lives there, so she has a place to stay.
Oh, okay.
It was very, very.
Her sister is kind of hot. Yeah. I think you've told me before. She might be crazy though. Is she a libtard idiot?
Or? Not a libtard, just a little crazy.
Yeah, well, she's a woman. Of course, she's crazy. Yeah, I haven't met the one yet that's
I'll
not.
let other people decide.
Yeah, I'm crazy too, ladies. Don't worry, it's not just you. All right, have a great birthday as well as you can have, Garrett, and we'll do it again tomorrow. It'll be a Halloween show, I guess. Right, tomorrow's Halloween.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm passing out candy.
There you go. So we'll do it maybe a hair early so you can pass out candy. All right, everybody.